How you doing? My name is Michael Bricker. I'm the Division Chief here at Animal Care and Protective Services. This past Saturday, we had a town hall. It was amazing. It was a great time. It was about an hour long. It was hosted by Councilman Raul Arias. How this got started, just a few months ago now, we went to City Council about the need for a change in our stray hold to go from 6 days down to 3 days. During that conversation, there were public members that had questions. They thought that the change in the stray hold was going to increase the amount of animals that are not reclaimed by owners or increase our euthanasia rate. Both those things we don't feel are true at all, and we think that the 6 day going down to 3 day would have been very beneficial. Right now, it's going to be from 6 days to 5 days, and that should start within the next month. But the reason I bring that up is during that, the thought was to have more community meetings because we felt like in those meetings that the community didn't really know what we were doing here at the shelter. We try to be as transparent as possible. We post on social media everything that we're doing, but there's some questions that they still had. So we thought a town hall type format would be the way to address those. We had two town halls with Councilman Raul Arias. One was at a public library. The other one was down at City Hall. And then this one was at Animal Care and Protective Services. I thought it was awesome. We had a bunch of people show up, and we talked about a lot of things. We talked about all of the things that the challenges that we still have, all the great things that we've done over the past 3 years, but we left time at the end for questions. We knew that we weren't going to be able to get through everybody's questions unless we had like a format. So that's why we had these cards, these index cards. So what we asked is for the public to come in, sign in on a public comment sign-in sheet, and then have a card ready with their questions. The reason we did that, one, is just to make sure that we were able to answer as many questions as possible. But two, if there was just a specific case that they wanted to know about, I don't have all of those notes in my head. So what we asked is if they did have a specific case, they would write that case down. One of our staff members would print out all the information, and then I'd be able to give a detailed answer. The questions that we did get, though, most of which were not about specific cases. So what I want to do is go through those questions that we received and then answer them again. Do you support shortening the stray hold period? Why or why not? We do fully support the stray hold going from 6 days to 3 days. That's a national recommendation. That's what most progressive shelters are trying to do. Length of stay is a big thing in animal shelters. We want the animals to come in and leave as soon as possible. We want them to get to their home as soon as possible, whether that is they go back home to where they came from, like a return to owner, or if they get adopted. Either way, we're super happy about that. The stats show that most animals get reclaimed, if they're going to get reclaimed and taken back home, within the first 3 days. So we would be capturing almost all of those dogs within the first 3 days. Having it to 6 days only delays other dogs that are not going to be reclaimed the chance to be adopted quicker. So that's why we wanted to go from 6 to 3 days, but we're going from 6 to 5. How beneficial will a direct ACPS line be for the community? I mean, a direct line to any city agency would be amazing, but that does take a lot. We receive way over 30,000 calls every single year, calls for service. So to have those amount of people that it would take dedicated to answering those questions here, it would be an increase in staff and an increase in the budget, which is difficult. I mean, we have gotten an increase in our budget and staff for the past 2 years, and we're super thankful for that. But everybody in the city needs more staff and more people and more money. And we understand that. So it would be beneficial, but we really enjoy the work that 630 City does. 630 City has a group full of dispatchers that answer these questions. And now, thanks to the new positions that we did receive over the past 2 years, we have a dispatcher on staff. So that dispatcher takes the information from 630 City and is able to distribute that to our animal control officers that are out there. We call them animal services officers, or to our pet resource center, or to our adoption desk, or wherever it needs to go. That is an improvement that we have made that is more of a direct line to us. But guess what? If you want direct communication, we're open 7 days a week from 12 to 7. So you can come here at any time and meet with any of us. So I know that's not as easy as just a phone call picking it up, But that's where we're at right now. Why can't catch and release be done for dogs like it's done for cats? So this is TNR, trap, neuter, return, trap, neuter, release, is something that's done with dogs in other parts of the world, but not in the United States. I don't think it's something that we would be for at this point. I think that that would be a huge program, a huge undertaking, and why it works for cats and not dogs. Dogs can be dangerous at some points. A dog bite is way different than a cat bite. We wouldn't be supportive of that at this time. There are studies that show that it does work in certain places. Right now, I think we have other options to address those things. Why can't mandatory spay and neuter be implemented for a period of time for dogs or time for those who are not registered breeders? Mandatory spay and neuter is one of those things that when people hear about it, they're like, yeah, that's the answer, right? We need them all spayed and neutered. And you're right. That is the answer. But there's just not enough people to do those things. So right now we have 2 low-cost options in the city of Jacksonville, which is not enough. We have Every Pet, which is amazing. They have 2 locations, and they do low-cost spay and neuter. And then we have Seaglass, which is not far from the shelter, amazing as well. They do low-cost spay and neuter. But even low cost could be costly or too costly for some members of the public. So we don't think that people should not have a dog or a cat just because they cannot afford to have them spayed or neutered. So what a mandatory spay and neuter ordinance would do would make it so that anybody that can't afford either low cost spay and neuter or regular cost spay and neuter would not be able to have the joys of having a cat or a dog as a pet, and we don't think that that's appropriate. Mandatory spays and neuters or mandatory spay and neuter ordinance only works if there's the resources available within the community to make sure that, hey, this dog needs to be spayed or neutered, whether it's free or low cost, that there's an ability to do that. And right now in Jacksonville, we don't have that. Do you monitor how many animals are adopted by households? So yes, we do, but only animals that are adopted from us. So if somebody comes in and they want to adopt a dog, we go through what we call their PID or their person ID that's within our animal management system. And we go through and we say, oh, wait, this person already has a few dogs or a few cats. And we'll have that conversation with them for sure. But there's no way to monitor if this person came in and they adopted one from us and then one from maybe JHS and maybe one from Nassau County. We wouldn't know that unless they talk to us about that. But that's what our adoption process is based on, a conversation. So most people will tell us that, and then we'll counsel and we'll figure out something based on those conversations. Do you feel that having a program that does home checks is something that can ensure safe adoption? Home checks, I've been in animal welfare for a while. When I first got into animal welfare, that was the norm, the standard, was home checks. So you would have a dog that's there, somebody would apply to adopt that dog, and then there was a bunch of stuff that shelters used to have to do. Call veterinarians, call landlords, make sure that the dog meets with everybody in the family at the shelter, and then home checks were usually on that list. So it would either be a staff member or a volunteer that would go out to these people's home, and check it and judge whether this person should have a cat or a dog. It's wrong for many reasons, but when we mention length of stay, like I mentioned earlier in this, it just increases the amount of time that the dog or cat is at the shelter. It increases, their fear, anxiety, and stress from them being here for too long. It increases their chances of getting sick at an animal shelter, and it increases their chance of being euthanized. We trust in the public. We have a conversation, and we talk to them about all the things that they should know about owning a cat or dog. And most oftentimes, that's what happens. But us being an enforcement agency, when somebody comes in and they apply or fill out the form to adopt a cat or dog, they're giving us their ID, they're giving us their addresses, and if something happens, we always let them know they can bring the animal here. They don't have to, not go through with taking the dog for medical attention. They don't have to go through with not feeding the dog. If they're in a place where they can't have that cat or dog, they can bring it back. And we have their information. So if we do get information that they're being cruelly treated, we will send our animal services officers out there for sure. So no, I don't feel that home checks are necessary. When shelters were doing them, they kept stats on those, and more often than not, the homes of people that are here to adopt were perfectly fine. So it ended up being a waste in time, resources, and again, kept the cat or dog at the shelter for longer than they needed to be. What do you want to tell people who say ACPS takes too long to respond or too difficult to get a hold of when an animal issue comes up? We take about 30,000 calls for service every single year. What we do now, thankfully, we get the calls usually from 60 City, and then that goes to our dispatcher, and our dispatcher uses criteria to disperse those to our animal services officers. That's something that we didn't have a chance to do before. So now what I can tell you is that our highest priority calls are the ones that are being addressed. But what that means is that's in distress animals, that is bites, dangerous dogs, animal cruelty, all of those things. So the things that we're still not getting out to as quickly as I'm sure people in the public would want are dogs that are running at large, happy and healthy dogs that are running in the neighborhood, that are not injured, and a lot of DOAs. So this is like deers dead on the side of the road, wildlife dead on the side of the road. Those things, we're not getting to those quickly at all because our priorities have changed. We're making sure that we're getting to all the calls that are the highest of priorities. So do we want to get out to all of those calls? We sure do. And we want to do that as efficiently, as quickly as possible. But, the truth of the matter is we only have a set amount of officers, so we're getting out to those calls as soon as we can. So that's why, it depends on the priority list. If we mark one of our cases as priority 1, the person that's priority 2 or 3 probably feels that theirs should be number 1, right? We don't expect the public to understand that point. We know it's personal to you, so no matter what we say, oh, this one was a higher priority, it's going to be upsetting. But I want you all to know that we are trying our best, and now that we do have that dispatcher position, it has improved things in a big way. What is the average response time, or what time frame should someone expect after filing a complaint? So when you file a complaint through either 60 City or MyJax Online, you will receive an email that should tell you a roundabout of how long it will take for us to respond to that particular issue. So I'd refer to that. It could be for an in distress, we're going out same day. For running at large, it could take a few days, but those time frames will be on there. So just check those responses. And if you have any questions, you can always call back in, or like I said, stop in. Is there an easier way to submit an animal in distress? So we have 2 ways to submit a ticket. You can either call 60 City, or you can go on MyJax and do that as well. Now, if it's after hours, we ask that you call the non-emergency police number. So that's anything after 5 o'clock, and on weekends, you're going to call the non-emergency police number, and then that number will go to Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and then they have a criteria, and if it matches that criteria, they will call an on-call officer. We have officers that are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but that's you could do it those 2 ways, or as I mentioned a couple times, just come right into the shelter. But those are the ways. Emergency phone number, we don't have an emergency phone number, but that's where the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office comes in. Their non-emergency police number would quantify as an emergency number. So if you do have an animal-related emergency, call that number, and then they'll reach out to us. Would you be open to starting an ACO volunteer program, potentially with other small rescues to help investigate, trap, etc.? For sure. We accept volunteers in every facet of our organization. You can come in to just cuddle kittens. You can come in to walk dogs. You can come in to help our medical team. You can come in to clean kennels. We accept volunteers in every facet. We do have a couple programs where people will ride with the officers, and we can definitely have a volunteer help with that. We already currently have a whole list of volunteers that do help with cat trapping, which is super important, something that we need, especially right now, especially when we're talking about spaying and neutering. So getting those cats trapped so they can be fixed and then returned. We do have volunteers that do that. So volunteers that would help our ASOs, we would love to do that. So the last one that we had was about a particular case. I think we answered most of the questions, but that person's questions was tied to a case where they felt that, we weren't getting out in the time that we should have. We weren't helping the situation in a way that they would be happy about. So what we did with that case and that person, we held them after the town hall. We spoke to them. For a good amount of time, 40, 45 minutes. And I think we came up with some good plans of action. A lot of what happens is, when people call about a dog that is, they feel that is a nuisance. What they want us to do initially is just remove the nuisance. They want us to go and take that dog and bring it into the animal shelter. Us, like really anybody else, we have a set of protocols. We have to follow our ordinances. We have to give people a chance to fix the issue, to rectify the issue. So what we were able to do is kind of go over that whole process with the complainant, and I think she feels much better now today than she did before. And we're willing to do that with any of you. So if there is something that you've been calling us about and you don't feel like it's being handled properly, please reach out to 60 City, make a MyJax call, or what I think would be the best if you're able to, just come in. We're open every single day from 12 to 7. But during the weekdays, Monday through Fridays, when you're going to have the most leadership team here, so that would be a great time to come in and discuss your case. But I hope I answered everything. If there's more questions that you guys have that you'd like to ask, please put those in the comments, and I'll start to answer those as well. This won't be our last town hall. We are probably going to do one in like October or November, but you do not have to wait until that to ask any questions. Like I said, we're here all the time. Please stop in. But thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just put them in the comments.